With only a few days left to use your bottle cap in Pokemon Go, some of you might still be deciding which Pokemon is actually the best choice. So if you haven't already, I would strongly recommend watching my top 20 best Pokemon to bottle cap video first, as this video is going to be a follow-up to that one. Specifically in this video, I'm going to be highlighting your most popular picks and answering any questions you may have had about Pokemon that didn't make the original list. Now if you're still undecided after watching this video, leave me a comment down below highlighting your top picks, and depending on how many comments I receive, I might put together one last video covering your individual scenarios. I can actually be quite an indecisive person myself, so I can totally understand how difficult this decision can be, and therefore I just want to help you guys make the most educated decision. And if I wasn't clear about this earlier, the bottle cap is going to expire on July 6th, which means you guys have roughly 4 days left to decide. Also, for anybody who already used their bottle cap, let us know in the comment section down below what you actually used it on, as I'm positive this is going to help out some players with their decision-making process. But with that being said, we got a lot of things to go through right now, so let's jump straight into it. The first talking point that I want to go over is going to be the silver bottle cap. Now we didn't really talk about this in my last video, mainly just because the gold bottle cap was the only one being featured during this past event, so the silver bottle cap is naturally going to work a bit differently. The gold bottle cap is going to perfect all the IVs right through hyper training. The silver bottle cap is only going to perfect one of the IVs through hyper training. Therefore, if you have something like a 98% IV, 15, 15, 14, you wouldn't want to use a gold bottle cap on that. You would want to wait until we get these silver bottle caps and then use it for that Pokemon. Now the reason that I'm going over this right now in the beginning of this video is because I did actually see a few comments from people who probably weren't even aware of silver bottle caps existing that were going to use their gold bottle cap on like a 98% IV just to get that Shundo. And you can totally do that if you want to, but it's probably not going to be the best use of your gold bottle cap. Now when it comes down to the release date for silver bottle caps, we really have no idea when we're going to see these in Pokemon Go, but I have to imagine silver bottle caps are probably going to be on the free-to-play side, whereas gold bottle caps are going to stay on the pay-to-play side. Honestly, I can't even say that with certainty because silver bottle caps are still pretty OP when you think about it, but it kind of feels like more of a free-to-play item, whereas gold bottle caps definitely feel like a pay-to-play item. Okay, next up let's talk about Zygarde. So we talked about why Zygarde is going to be a good choice in my last video, and therefore I kind of want to cover some of the counterpoints in this video. The first comment reads, some notes on Zygarde. The shiny has not been released yet, and the Kalos tour is going to be next year. And also supposedly it might get a Mega Form or something special with the new Legend ZA game. I would personally wait until then for when, and if it does, a new golden bottle cap is going to be released. Okay, so for the last part, I don't know if that's entirely true, right? Because we don't really know how frequently we're going to get these golden bottle caps. I would say if it's going to be during every major event, that's going to be 3 times a year. But if it's only during GoFest, it's only going to be 1 time a year. But I do think a really strong point that they made here is that either during the Kalos tour or during the release for the new Legend ZA game, we could see another special research which actually gives us another Zygarde. I'm not going to say that's going to be a shiny Zygarde, that's probably going to be locked behind like a paywall or something like that, almost definitely now with the new Scopely era, but overall getting the second Zygarde could mean that you don't actually have to use a bottle cap right now. And so basically for those reasons they recommended using another shiny mythical instead that's already been released. And I do agree, I think if you're going to use it on a mythical, a shiny mythical makes the most sense. We already have a bunch of them out there and I kind of recommended some earlier in my last video, so one of the strongest picks I recommended in that video is probably shiny Meloetta. I think that's going to be a really solid option. It looks great and it's also really good in the Open Master League. Now this comment says to keep Zygarde for the Open Ultra League and save the shiny for the Master League using a future bottle cap, and I think this is an excellent point. I didn't actually realize Zygarde was good in the Open Ultra League, but it's actually ranked in the top 30 right now. This comment says, I'm not going to pick up Zygarde and here's why. Number 1, it has many legacy movesets. I did actually look this up, it has 4 different legacy movesets. That's pretty crazy. Number 2, the 50% form is going to get a Mega Form. I looked this up as well, it's rumored to get a Mega Form in the new Legend ZA game. So that could also be a reason not to actually, fully power up or fully evolve your Zygarde. Number 3, needs a shiny release. Number 4, Legend ZA release. Number 5, it's only legendary so it will come out in raids eventually, it's not mythical. I kind of disagree with this one, but at the same time we just got Solgaleo and Lunala in raid, so I guess never say never, but it just kind of seems unlikely. Number 6, the Kalos tour is next year and it needs content. So honestly, fair points. I feel like I do agree with most of them here. And as far as the Mega Form actually coming to the 50% form, that is a very interesting choice for Zygarde. I don't really know how that's going to work out, but yeah, I guess when we do get Legend ZA, even if we already have the 100% Zygarde built in Pokemon Go, there's a good chance we're going to get another Zygarde from some sort of special research, almost positive. Now finally, the last point is actually because the route system is very tedious. For those of you unaware, Zygarde requires 250 cells to fully evolve it all the way up into its 100% form. that takes forever. Like, on a good day, you could probably get like 2 to 3 Zygarde cells doing routes. I personally go out for walks every now and then, and I do happen to pick up at least 1 to 2 cells when I'm doing my routes. But overall, getting to that 100% form is going to take me years. I'm just gonna say it right now. It's gonna take me years. I'm only like 50 cells in. There's no way I'm gonna get it done. I'm just not that consistent. And I assume most players out there probably aren't either. So if you were thinking about Zygarde, but you're not actually gonna commit to get all 250 cells, it's probably not worth using your bottle cap on this. And that's just being honest. Those were a lot of really good counterpoints in my opinion. And so, you know, Zygarde is still gonna be a good choice, but probably not the best choice for all those reasons that they listed. Again, I don't know if we're gonna see it in raid battles at some point, but given the Legends EA release and given the Kalos Tour honestly happening within the next year in Pokemon Go, Kalos Tour next February for 2026, and then Legends EA release is going to be this October 2025, there is a good chance we're probably going to see at least one Zygarde come through some sort of special research. But the one point I will actually add to that is that we don't know if it's going to be locked behind a paywall, right? So that could be interesting as well. We'll have to see how things play out. The next Pokemon I want to talk about is going to be Zarude, which a lot of you guys asked me if it would be a good choice. So when it comes down to it, I don't think Zarude is a bad option, but it's definitely not the best option, especially because its Master League relevance isn't as great as it once was, and you also have Kartana, which is going to be a better grass type attacker for the Raid/Gym meta. The shiny also hasn't been released for Zarude, so I would have to imagine once that does come into Pokemon Go, then it would be a much better choice. Next up we have Marshadow. So Marshadow was released recently in Pokemon Go for all players, and then last year we also got it during Go Fest. Now Marshadow is going to be a good Pokemon to build for the Open Master League, so I guess if you want to build it for that meta, you can definitely do that. But given that it doesn't have a shiny form, again, I don't think it is as worth it as some of the other options because they do have their shinies enabled, right? Like Meloetta is going to be a really strong choice because you can do the shiny Meloetta and then use that in the Open Master League. Following that, we have Keldeo. So Keldeo, when it comes down to it, is actually a good fighting type attacker to use in the Raid/Gym meta. It basically has the exact same stats as Terrakion, but here's the thing, right? Keldeo doesn't have access to Double Kick as a fast move, which is pretty important for it. So you could just go with Terrakion, you can farm that Pokemon from raid battles, and it would just be a better option all around. And then don't even get me started on Mega Lucario or Shadow Conkeldurr. Those are all going to be better than Keldeo as well. So it could be cool to have, but in terms of practicality, unless you just want to run it for fun, even then, I don't know that you would necessarily need the Hundo for Keldeo, unlike some of these other Pokemon in PvP where the Hundo actually makes a bit more of a difference. Next up, let's talk about Volcanion, which we just got access to during the recent Go Fest if you actually got the paid ticket. So Volcanion is not great, like at all. It's a fire type attacker, and man, there are so many other Pokemon that outclass it. I would definitely not use your bottle cap on this. Okay, next up we have Armored Mewtwo. So I got quite a few comments about Armored Mewtwo, and yes, this Pokemon is rare, but in terms of functionality, I would not use a bottle cap on this. It's not going to be good in Master League. It's arguably worse than regular Mewtwo. Not even arguably, it is worse than regular Mewtwo. Basically, Armored Mewtwo is nerfed when it comes down to its attack stats, and also Armored Mewtwo cannot Mega Evolve in the future when we do eventually get that. Probably next year, I'd have to imagine for the 10th year anniversary. That is my prediction. But yeah, when it comes down to Armored Mewtwo, I mean, if you want to have it as a flex, I guess you could bottle cap it. But in terms of practicality, it's just not really there for this Pokemon. Next up, we have the shiny Galarian birds, which honestly, I can understand this one. So there's not really that much meta relevance for them. The only one that is meta relevant right now is going to be Galarian Moltres. It's ranked in the top 100 roughly, so I wouldn't say it's very meta relevant. It's better off in the Open Ultra League, so you wouldn't actually want to use a bottle cap for this guy. So I think having a Shundo Galarian bird could be pretty cool by itself, but in terms of practical use for it, there isn't really that much. Now I did actually get a few comments about shiny GMAX Pokemon, so these on the other hand can actually be really, really good, right? Especially the ones that also have Mega Evolutions like shiny GMAX Charizard and shiny GMAX Gengar. These two in my opinion would be excellent choices. You're going to get the usability as GMAX Pokemon in max battles, and then you'll also have their Mega Forms, which are both going to be meta relevant in the Raid/Gym meta as well. Mega Charizard Y is the best fire type attacker in the game, and Mega Gengar is the best ghost type attacker in the game. I think Dawnwings actually might be a bit better, so I take that back, but Mega Gengar is the best Mega Ghost type attacker in the game, so definitely worth using. Plus it's also going to boost every other ghost type around you, so ideally you would want to have a combination of like Mega Gengar plus a bunch of Dawnwings Necrozma. This would also be applicable for any other shiny GMAX Pokemon out there that also gets access to a Mega Form. I think just kind of having everything packed into one Pokemon is just amazing. So yeah, moving forward, if you guys were to use a bottle cap on any of these eligible GMAX Pokemon with their Mega Forms, I think that'd be a great choice. And this definitely goes back to why I don't really recommend a lot of the other Pokemon, just because it would be cool to have them as a Hundo or potentially even a Shundo, but you also want to get the practicality aspect out of your bottle cap too. At least I would if I actually got the gold bottle cap. I would definitely want to get the most use out of one Pokemon, opposed to just having like a really cool looking one. In which case, you could definitely go with something like Shiny Mew, which I know a lot of people are actually going with right now for the Gen 1 Pokedex, because you're able to get every other Hundo for Gen 1 except for Mew, right? Unless you were lucky enough to get that first try, but most people probably weren't, and therefore Shiny Mew is actually really cool. This next comment actually mentions a really good point. Could you use it on a meta-relevant but rare Great League or Ultra League Pokemon? So let's say for example you had a 0% IV Pokemon. Now when you use the gold bottle cap, you don't actually have to train all the stats if you don't want to, because there's going to be hyper training tasks revolved around them. Therefore, if you wanted to make it perfect Great League IVs or perfect Ultra League IVs, you totally could do that, right? You could definitely intentionally train that Pokemon and then just stop training it once it gets to the IV stat that's going to be desirable. And then of course you could also just keep attack at 0. Now I don't actually know what Pokemon would actually fit this criteria or what would be the best to use it on for those metas, so if anybody out there could give me some good examples of like really rare Pokemon that would actually be good for something like this, let me know in the comment section down below and I'll try to mention this in a future video. So that pretty much covers all the questions I had from the previous video, but now I do also want to go over some of your most popular picks in terms of what you guys actually said you were going to use your bottle caps on. So the number 1 shiny legendary Pokemon that people said that they were going to use their bottle cap on was shiny Rayquaza with Dragon Ascent. And honestly, totally valid. I think that Pokemon is amazing. If you already have the meteorite to get Dragon Ascent, or you just already gave it Dragon Ascent, I mean, yeah, Mega Rayquaza as a Shundo would be legendary. Literally, it would be legendary. And then of course, following that, we have shiny Zacian or Zamazenta with their special backgrounds. We have shiny Kyurem with the background, and then we have shiny Dialga or Palkia with their special moves plus the background. And then finally, we have shiny Necrozma with the special background as well. When it comes down to your best options, all of those Pokemon are going to be amazing choices. I think those are like the top 4 picks, and they're not exactly 4 picks, but you get what I'm trying to say here. Those are probably the best uses of your bottle cap in the game. Every single one of those Pokemon I just mentioned has amazing meta relevance in both raids as well as PvP, rocket battles, and then some of them even have special adventure effect moves. Now with that being said, there were a few unpopular shiny picks that people wanted to go with as well, so let me cover those really quick before we end off this video. So first of all, we have shiny Larvesta, which I think was an excellent choice that I didn't actually mention in the last video. Shiny Larvesta is extremely rare. Now shiny Volcarona is actually pretty decent to use as a fire type attacker as well as a bug type attacker, so it wouldn't actually be a non-usable Pokemon. You can definitely use it as well. Somebody mentioned shiny Nightcap Snorlax, which you can only get from the Pokemon Go Plus from the Pokemon Sleep rewards, I believe. So that's actually like a really rare version of Snorlax. I think that'd be pretty cool to have as far as rare Shundos go. Somebody mentioned shiny Palosand, which is actually a super rare shiny as of right now in Pokemon Go. This will most likely become more common as the years go on, but as of right now, when it comes down to Shundos, I don't know anybody who has this. This person said that they used it on shiny Tapu Bulu, which I actually think is a great choice. So first of all, the shiny looks really cool. Second, it's a good grass type attacker, and third, it's relevant in the Open Master League. There were also a few other good options like shiny Melmetal, shiny Tyranitar, shiny Rhyperior, shiny Mamoswine, shiny Umbreon for PvP, and shiny Talonflame for PvP, because those would both be Hundos. Normally when it comes down to PvP, you want to actually have low attack IVs, high defense, and high stamina, but for Umbreon and Talonflame, you actually want to have the Hundos, because their Hundos actually max out right before that 2500 CP limit. Anyways, you guys get the idea at this point, so that pretty much wraps things up for this one. If you do still need help deciding, let me know in the comment section down below what your top choices are. I should be able to get at least one more video up before July 5th, which should give you still some time before the expiration date. For now, if you haven't checked out my full overview for the month of July, then watch this video next.